Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most persistent myths in the tech world, especially among Linux users. That minimalist, quote-unquote, light browsers are inherently more efficient than established giants like Firefox. We've all heard the advice, my computer is slow, use a lighter browser. But what if I told you that the browser you picked for its minimal design might actually be the biggest resource hog on your entire system? We're going to use real-time terminal data to settle this once and for all. I'm running Sparky Linux on a machine with just over 7.2 gigabytes of RAM, and the results from my system monitor completely shocked me. Prepare to have your assumptions challenged. First, we needed a way to measure resources accurately. You can't just trust the built-in system monitors, because they often obscure the details. Standard Linux commands, like psaux, give you data, but it's really messy and hard to read. Look at this mess. Firefox creates multiple processes, and the memory is shown in tiny kilobytes. Which number do we even look at? It's simply confusing. So, I designed a custom bash script to aggregate this information and present it clearly. It shows us four crucial things: total system memory and CPU usage, individual browser tabs across all browsers, total usage per application, and most importantly, the top resource consumers on the system. This is the clean, definitive data we need. Let's first establish a baseline and look at the setup itself. Our overall system usage is currently at 2.7 gigabytes of memory used out of 7.2 total, which is 37.9% of the system's capacity. Not bad, but we still have plenty of room to improve efficiency. Now, let's look at the primary target of optimization, Firefox ESR, which many people consider quote-unquote bloated. Looking at our total by browser section, Firefox is indeed consuming a large chunk, 1,615 megabytes of memory, or about 1.6 gigabytes. It's also responsible for 15.2% of the CPU usage across 12 processes. That's a lot of resources. Breaking it down by individual tabs, the single heaviest Firefox tab uses 377 megabytes and 5.6% CPU. Remember this. Firefox was simultaneously running a resource-intensive AI interface tab and a standard Gmail tab when this data was collected. This is the high workload scenario people try to avoid by switching to a light alternative. So they immediately close Firefox and open the minimalist browser, Surf. Here is where the data reveals the myth. The alternative browser we're testing today, Surf, is a minimalist, very lightweight browser based on the WebKit rendering engine. It's supposed to be the CPU and memory savior. But let's look at the actual numbers. Scroll down to the top CPU consumers list. And what is the absolute number one process on the entire system? It is not Firefox. The top CPU consumer is the WebKit web process, demanding a whopping 53.2% of the CPU and using 657 megabytes of memory. Yes, you heard that correctly. 53.2% CPU. And here is the crucial fact. Surf was only running a single Gmail tab. The heaviest Firefox process was handling a complex AI workload, yet the light browser's engine, displaying only a standard inbox, is demanding over 50% of the CPU. Now, let's check which application this process belongs to. Look at the top applications list. We see WebKit web process listed with its 657 megabytes, but we also see the Surf application itself using 156 megabytes. So, when you run this light browser Surf, the total memory footprint for just the core browser application and its primary web rendering process is 657 plus 156 megabytes, totaling 813 megabytes. The combined CPU usage of the two main WebKit components, the WebKit web process and the WebKit network process, is over 60% of the CPU. This is for running the single basic Gmail page. The main takeaway here is simple. Light does not mean light on resources. These simple minimalist browsers often rely on underlying toolkits, like WebKit, that can be incredibly heavy in their CPU and memory demands, even under minimal single-tab loads. The CPU cost of using the light browser far outweighs the memory savings. Before we wrap up, let's briefly look at the rest of the list for perspective. Remember how the heaviest single Firefox tab, running the AI task, was using 5.6% of the CPU? We have a single process from the Lite browser's engine, using 10 times that much CPU power, running just Gmail. That's 10 times the processing power needed to render a basic tab. The total memory used by the entire Firefox application, even with 12 processes running, is barely double the memory of the single, most intense WebKit web process. And finally, let's not forget about Xorg, the display server, which is sitting there at a steady 107 megabytes of memory. The myth that Firefox is uniquely bloated is simply not supported by the data when you start looking at the heavy lifting components of its competitors. Often, the Lite browser just outsources the resource usage to another process or engine with a different name. So, the next time someone tells you to switch to a Lite browser to save resources, remember this script. The memory savings are often offset by monstrous CPU usage from the underlying rendering engine, making your computer feel far slower and hotter than before, even when running only a single, simple tab. The moral of the story: measure everything. Don't trust the hype or the default settings. The true resource hog is often hiding right under the hood. If you found this myth-busting analysis helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, which lightweight application should I test next?